Welcome to the Cryptonomatron, and today I'm doing a review on Omnitude ICO. What is Omnitude? Well, it's a blockchain solution for enterprise systems, existing enterprise systems, supply chains, and existing e-commerce platforms, and they want to tie these all together so that they can benefit from the blockchain technology. Now, the reason I picked this ICO was, aside from the fact it looks very interesting, and I don't know much about it, so that's one of the reasons why I do these reviews, is that a lot of you guys actually demanded this to be reviewed. So I'm reacting to my community. A lot of you asked for this to be done, so here it is. And let's get down to it, boppers. So the competition in the e-commerce space is pretty robust, as you can imagine. There are a lot more platforms coming out now that are trying to integrate all the existing enterprise solutions and be the one-stop shop, if you like, for everybody to apply the blockchain technology to their own products already. One of them that was recently came to my attention was this Crypto, which is, they call it the new eBay of crypto marketplace. It's got a ICO coming up soon. It's got a very low market cap of around $5 million. Again, they're trying to do the same thing, just integrate existing solutions onto the blockchain. There's also this JWC Ventures, which I discovered, and they are trying to integrate venture capital, blockchain technology, and with an e-commerce ecosystem as well. Again, similar to the ideas of Omnitude in that they're going to have their own e-commerce ecosystem with blockchain infrastructure, logistics, loyalty reward points, incentivization, warehouse management, etc. And then the final one that I'll point out, because we could be here all day going through the different e-commerce blockchain solutions, is BitBoost. And the reason I'm bringing BitBoost to your attention is because I did a video on it a long time ago as one of my tokens to watch. It's already had its ICO, very, very low market cap. It's still got a low market cap, and I haven't looked at it recently, to be honest. I invested a little bit in it. I did the token to watch video. It then went up. It did a 10x, I believe, and is now right back down at about 25 cents. Might be an interesting opportunity to enter. I'd have to revisit it again. So it's not a recommendation by any means, but something you might want to go and have a look at. As such, they are an e-commerce blockchain solution. They're going to build their own website, their own marketplace. They want to be an eBay competitor on the blockchain. So yeah, so another competitor. So there's three of them just to ruffle your feathers. So the problems they want to solve then are fourfold. E-commerce fraud is one, supply chain is another, ID confirmation is another, and the general cost of doing business is the final one. Now let's look at each of these in turn. E-commerce fraud, always going to be a problem. By using an immutable ledger like the blockchain, we can reduce fraud by having a single identity document or a single recognizable identity ID confirmation for people, because a lot of the fraud is actually people impersonating other people, stealing their data, getting access to their data through hacking or other attacks, and then using that to make transactions. So as you can see, there are four different types of common fraud perpetrated in e-commerce. Clean fraud, which is just impersonating the cardholder with the acquisition of extensive amounts of personal data. There's the account takeover, where they take over your account by phishing or some other manner and then use your account to make purchases. There is identity fraud as well, where they actually pose as somebody else to obtain access to goods and services. And then the final one's reshipping, which is basically a middleman basically gets the goods shipped to them, and then they forward them on as well, and for a fee. So chargeback rights as well is a problem. At the bottom there, as you can see on the paper, they say the chargeback fraud costs 31 billion a year by 2020, an estimated 31 billion. So that's a lot of money being lost due to fraud. The next problem they want to solve is issues with the supply chain. Now, supply chain is big business, as you can imagine. There are other blockchains that are involved in it, such as Origin Trail. VeChain is a very big one. And there's obviously a lot of concern and a need to improve the way we actually deliver goods through the supply chain. And one of the big problems with the supply chain is the counterfeit and pirated goods economy. And that was worth $500 billion last year. As you can see, 2.5%, which is a really staggering number of global imports, are actually pirated goods and not originals. And 86% of retailers say their sales are hurt by the sale of counterfeit goods. So those are big numbers, and it's a big issue. The other issue with the supply chain is customer deliveries. Let's look at the UK as an example. Taking this from the white paper again, in 2015-16, over 2 billion items were delivered to UK households, but 43% of the customers did not receive dispatch and delivery date notifications, and 46% of e-tailers did not receive a delivery confirmation either. So a lot of things could go missing. There's a big issue there, and that's exactly where the blockchain can come in and solve this problem. Is the smart contracts can automate the notifications, and there will be a ledger there. It's a mutable ledger to say whether you did send the goods, receive the goods, etc. The third big problem is identity confirmation. Now, to give you a couple of examples of how this is a problem, you have to supply your identity and your information every time you sign up for a new service. So, that's an issue in itself. But there's also a problem where the data isn't safeguarded, it isn't secure, and it could leak out, get hacked or whatever, and you could get, again, you could be a victim of internet fraud. Another thing is that reviews and product ratings, that type of thing, especially on TripAdvisor and other such businesses, they can be faked. So you can use that to damage competitors, you can use that to build up your own reputation, but it's fake, and you can damage businesses that way. So that's another issue. And if we look at the statistics down here, just to simplify, if you've got a review system, for every star a business gets, there's an approximate 5 to 9% increase in business revenue. So people do actually go online and make decisions based on what people tell them. So it's quite a influential way of improving your business if you're faking profiles and faking reviews. Customers are likely to spend 31% more on a business with excellent reviews as well. 72% of consumers say that positive reviews make them trust a local business more. And according to Google, business listings that have had 3+ star reviews took 41 out of 47 clicks. So given equal pricing across the board, guests are 3.9 times more likely to choose hotels with higher ratings than lower ratings. And I think that's true. We've all done it before. We all go on to Agoda, Booking.com, similar websites, and they'll be decentralized soon too. We all go into these websites to book hotels, and we always look at the rating of the hotel before we make a decision. So, reviews do matter, and there's a lot of fraud being committed to boost up businesses that don't necessarily deserve the custom. And the final problem is the general cost of doing business. Now, when you use a payment gateway as a merchant, there's a lot of fees involved, especially if you're using PayPal. And they're one of the biggest, and if you're an online retailer, there's not much you can do about it. You really have to accept PayPal these days, and that's a problem because you're paying at least 2%, 2.9% in transaction fees, plus another fixed fee as well every time you sell an item. So it's not really economic. It does cost a lot of money, and it eats into your profits. So the solution to this is obviously having a cryptocurrency where payments can be made using the crypto, and that will reduce the fees. Fees will be negligible, and encourage more people to pay in that manner. So the aim of Omnitude is just to create their own blockchain solutions to all these problems, and by doing so, they will be able to integrate existing enterprise systems, existing supply chains, and existing e-commerce platforms as well. So you'll be able to use it as a merchant, for example, if you've got your own website, and it will integrate with other enterprise systems already existing, like Shopify and that type of website, so merchants can easily get the benefits and the advantages of the blockchain. So in the problems that we discussed in the last chapter, you can see here they're going to be able to solve the problem of fraud, because they're going to reduce fraud by introducing a single customer identity for use across any of the Omnitude connected e-commerce sites. So every time you're using the e-commerce site as a buyer or a seller, you will have this identity. By having the blockchain integrated, of course, you will be able to integrate with blockchain systems, existing systems, such as ERP and WMS. And if you don't know what they are, ERP is Enterprise Resource Planning, and that basically just automates all the business activities like the accounting, inventory management, etc. WMS is warehouse management, and that's more focused on managing the storage and the movement of the inventory. So they'll be able to hopefully reduce fraud and create this transparent and accountable supply chain as well by implementing the blockchain technology. So that's the aim of them. Let's have a look now at their potential market and further how they are going to tackle all of these problems as well that we've discussed. So I can't really sum it up any better than the white paper. In terms of volume and value, global e-commerce sales in 2016 were estimated to be worth $1.86 trillion US and are projected to grow to 4.48 trillion by 2021. Now, I don't need to tell you, those are big numbers, and I don't need to express to you that it's a growing economy as well. More and more people are gravitating towards ordering things online. Even if you go back as long as 15, 20 years ago, online shopping was a very niche market. People didn't trust it. There's a little anecdote that my friend told me, and I'll relay it to you now. He was in a bar having a drink with a friend, and the friend was he sells carpets. And my friend was extolling the virtues of selling online and the fact that the market inevitably would move towards online retail sales rather than brick and mortar stores. And the carpet seller said, no, that'll never ever happen with carpets. And of course it did, because everything can now be bought online, including carpets. The most ridiculous things can be bought online now. There is no limitations anymore. And that carpet seller went out of business a long time ago because he simply didn't move with the times. And so, as e-commerce grows, more and more people are using mobile devices now. There's a statistic here in India and China, 70% of the sales will be on mobile devices. And the US and China combined for the biggest segment of the market, the biggest share of the market, which is a 1.584 trillion worth of sales in 2017 last year. So a phenomenal amount of online retailing is being done now. And again, it's easy because it makes your life more efficient. You don't have to go to a place. You can use your mobile device. You can use your computer. It's easier and more efficient to buy online. And the other more important thing is as well that you've got the information to make an informed choice now. You don't have to rely on a potluck or whatever. You can read reviews. There's so much information available on the internet that you can make an informed choice, and that choice is a lot bigger than it would be using brick and mortar stores. Brick and mortar stores, you have to go to the stores. It takes time. You can browse prices very easily online. Hundreds of prices, hundreds of different prices, and make up your mind what whether you want to go for the cheapest price or fastest delivery or whatever. You've got so many options now, and that's why e-commerce, it simply won't be beaten now. It's got its foot in the door, and it will be the way we all shop for nearly everything in the future. So this is the way Omnitude is going to work. You can see the platform in the middle there, and blockchain technologies on the top. They're going to use the Hyperledger blockchain, and we'll discuss a little bit about that in a minute. And you can see Omnitude allows these third-party e-commerce software, the enterprise solutions as well, to interact with the Omnitude platform. You've got CS Cart, Magento, which I'm sure some of you will be familiar with, IBM WebSphere Commerce, Oracle Commerce as well. And then you've got the enterprise systems, which are going to be part of the supply chain control management. You've got the enterprise resource planning, as I mentioned before, which controls automates all your activities like the inventory management, accounting, etc. You've got customer relationship management. You've got CMS content management system, and also your warehouse management system for storage, movement of your inventory, etc. So the use of the blockchain in this particular instance is quite obvious. It's going to provide an open platform that people will be able to integrate with their existing systems and also existing enterprise solutions. It's also going to be secure. It's going to anchor to certain transactions on the Bitcoin and Ethereum blockchains as well, and allow it to basically be a little bit more secure. And it's also going to be transparent. You'll be able to obviously search any of the data that's stored on the chain itself. So they're using the Hyperledger blockchain, as I mentioned before. Now, Hyperledger is a product of IBM. It's a permissioned blockchain, and that's important because it means that you've got the ability to keep transactions private and also confidential as well. You know, if you're an e-commerce provider, you don't want that information getting into the hands of your competitors. It gives them a competitive advantage. So that's one of the main reasons why they're using this particular blockchain. It's quite a good system. It's quite a good product from what little I do know of it. It is quite widely used, more than you would expect. It's not that common for ICOs to be using it. Most of them are using the Ethereum blockchain or even Neo or or something similar. But Hyperledger gives you the permissions, as I say, so it's actually a little bit more usable in a real world scenario than the Ethereum blockchain is. Now, the other thing they want to do is they're going to manage identities. So they're going to have this Omnitude ID, they call it. So you will get an Omnitude ID if you're a full or partial node. And depending on your role within the system, that will give you the appropriate level of access to transact within the Omnitude ecosystem. So you will have to get whitelisted to do it. So you can't just sign up. You actually have to prove yourself, obviously, to get this Omnitude ID. So there will be, obviously a KYC check to be done with this. And then after that, once you've got this ID, anything you do on the Omnitude platform, you'll be recognized with that single ID. So that's another benefit, and we'll look a little bit more closely at the OIDs or the Omnitude ID in a minute. So let's look at more technical aspects, and I'm not going to dwell too much on each of these, but let's discuss the consensus algorithm. Now, they're not using proof of work or proof of stake. They're going to have an Omnitude specific algorithm. It's going to be based on the practical Byzantine fault tolerance algorithm that other blockchains use, such as Neo. And they're going to use a delegated practical Byzantine fault tolerance consensus algorithm. So validators will be selected randomly from the full nodes. And one of the validators is selected randomly as a leader, and then order transactions to include in the block. The node then broadcasts this list to all other validators, and each validator executes a list of transactions, calculates the hash code for the newly created block, and then it broadcasts the hash code back to the network. So the node will also take note of the hash codes broadcasted by all other validating nodes, and if it sees that 2/3 of all the validation nodes have the same hash code, it commits the new block to the local copy of the ledger. So that's simplified how it works. I like the way that's written, easy to understand. And of course, the reward for participating in a round of a DPBFT will be the transaction fees in the block, and that will be split between the different validators as well. So essentially, nodes will get the rewards for performing the transactions. There's no mining, however, it's not proof of work, but all the ECOM tokens will exist from day one. And there will be an immediate transaction finality, a high transaction rate, and they say high scalability. So all sounds very interesting indeed. So the other interesting thing I mentioned before was the fact it's going to anchor to the Bitcoin and Ethereum blockchains. And the reason for this is just to give it more security. And periodically what will happen is Omnitude will take pieces of the meaningful data in its system, and it will compute a single hash for that data that can then be used to verify the state of the system. The hash will then be stored economically in Bitcoin and Ethereum blockchain at periodic intervals. So hash will be generated by building a Merkle tree of all the data and then storing the Merkle root as the anchor. So easy to use tools will be provided for users to verify anchors against the state of the system. Okay, so the token use is pretty extensive within the ecosystem. It is a utility token, so it has several different utilities. And the first one is that it's going to be used as rewards for customers to sign up and use the Omnitude ID or the OID system. So if you sign up on a merchant site, the merchant will pay you some ECOM tokens. And similarly, if you use the merchant site, if you use your OID to purchase off them, you will also receive a reward as well. You will also receive the ECOM token as a reward for customer reviews. Now they have this very interesting system called proof of interaction, which basically cuts out the fake reviews in that you have to have a verifiable transaction with the merchant already to be able to leave a review, and of course the blockchain provides that. It will also be given from merchants to the customers as rewards in loyalty programs. If you participate, you will receive the ECOM token as a result. You'll also receive rewards for affiliating or referrals that you've given to merchants. And the ECOM token will be used for rewards for interacting with the blockchain. So every time there's information written on the blockchain, the merchant, if it's the merchant that writes the information, if it's the supplier, if it's the delivery person or whomever, there is a little reward in the ECOM tokens as a result. So that encourages interaction and helps fuel the ecosystem and keep it functioning. It will be used for payments between a customer and merchant, so you'll be able to buy goods from the merchants that are integrated with the system using the ECOM token as a customer. And of course, it will be tradable on external exchanges. I think initially you'll need to purchase it from external exchanges if you want to pay using the ECOM token and thus not pay through PayPal and save yourself some money and the fees that those kinds of payment gateways charge. So there's no red flags or scam warnings around this project as far as I'm concerned. The project is legit. The CEO is managing director of an e-commerce software development company in Sussex in England in the UK. Most of the team members that I checked out are fine. They've all got their a LinkedIn profile with Omnitude on it. A couple don't, but I'm not really concerned about that. A lot of people were saying a few weeks ago that the team didn't check out. Well, they've all got their LinkedIn pages updated now, and there's links on the team page of Omnitude website to their LinkedIn pages as well. So that should reassure some people. But this is a legit project as far as I'm concerned. I've got no issues here. So the token sale is as follows. ECOM is the token ticker. There's 100 million total supply, which is fairly low. They did have a pre-sale. It was successful. It was 40 cents per ECOM token at pre-sale, and the cap was at 10 million ECOM or $4 million US. The token sale, token general sale, the price will be slightly more at 46 cents per ECOM, but not too much more to dissuade investors, I feel. And the hard cap is a fairly reasonable 20.7 million US dollars or 45 million ECOM. So 50% of the tokens up for grabs at the pre-sale and main sale. There will be KYC requirements. You have to sign up, and there's a limit of $50,000 worth per person, which really shouldn't bother most of us. And if they don't sell out, there will be a token burn as well. So as you can see here, the token distribution, 50% for the investors for the sales, 12% will go to team and advisors, 33% will go to the Omnitude Foundation, and 5% will go to pre-sale investors. So there will be 5 million ECOM for pre-sale investors, 50 million for the token sale, 12 million for the team, and team and advisor tokens are vested based on time, with 20% being released each year for 5 years, so on a staggered release. So the main sale will begin on the 28th of March and end on April 25th. I don't think it will make it that long. I think this one's going to sell out very quickly indeed. There's a lot of hype behind it. It's open to US residents, so lucky you, you can participate in this one. There is KYC, as I mentioned earlier as well. You have to do your KYC with proof of identity and proof of address as well. And there will be a total supply of 100 million, as I mentioned. Circulatory supply will be around 55 million when it goes onto the exchanges, and this will give it an estimated market cap, of around 27-28 million US dollars, I think, if it sells out, of course. So just to give you an idea of where it's going to be when it goes on the exchanges. So Omnitude have a bounty campaign. They also have a referral program as well to try and increase community support and hype behind the project, get everybody involved. So the bounty pool and referral pool is $5 million. That's quite a remarkable amount, to be honest. Referral bonus is now 5%. My referral link is below. Please use it to sign up. Every little bit helps. As I say, I don't get paid for these videos, so if I can get some tokens in through bounty campaigns or affiliate links, then so be it. I know a lot of people don't like them, but hey, I take a lot of time to make these videos, guys, so I do appreciate the support. I really do. All of you guys that use them, and if you buy into ICOs or you buy tokens through my affiliate links, I really appreciate it. It keeps me going, and it keeps me able to keep making these videos for you as well. So the bounty campaign is as follows: 2% of all tokens, 500,000 US dollars, an amazing amount of money, will be allocated to the bounty campaign. Tokens will be distributed 30 days after the end of the sale, as usual. The different campaigns are as follows: 5% will be allocated to Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit campaigns, respectively. It's 25k USD, respectively, as well. Translation and moderation will get 10%. Signature campaign will get 10%. That's 50k USD. And content creation, which I will probably submit this video for, gets 15%, a 75k USD figure. And the referral program gets the majority, gets the bulk of it, obviously, at 50%, totaling 250,000 US dollars. As usual, there's a spreadsheet to check your participation, rules you've got to follow depending on what particular bounty campaign you are participating in, and different stakes depending on the quality of your material as well. So the roadmap here is split into a technical and business roadmap plan, and the business started back in 2017, Q3, where they had the concept and they have hired a core team. They've done some market analysis, audience research, competitor analysis, and moving on to Q4 2017, they did their white paper, designed their website, they had their core partnership meetings, which are ongoing, and they're also going to appoint people to the security advisory board too. That is also ongoing. From a technical standpoint, the technical overview and technical viability was confirmed. The technical white paper was also created. Moving into 2018, Q1, we'll see them finalize the business case, define the minimum viable ecosystem, launch the alpha version of Hyperledger Stack, build and test proof of concept iteratively, which is ongoing, discover, design, build, and review, onboard beta clients, business partners, business stakeholders. They will develop functional and technical architecture, the core technology work group. There will be a design rollout strategy and integrate with legacy systems. They will join the Hyperledger Foundation as well, and they will announce technology partners. From a business standpoint, the white paper and website have gone live already. We can see them. The whitelist and pre-sale has already been completed. The recruitment drive is ongoing. The creation of proof of concept is ongoing. There will be a public release of code and a GitHub repo. There will be the token sale, obviously, as well, the main sale starting in March. and the KYC will be completed for everybody. Then the distribution of the tokens to Omnitude wallets, and then they will identify possible Omnitude Foundation board members as well. Moving on to Q2 2018, from a business standpoint, ECOM will go live on the exchanges. Work on partnerships and customers will continue. They will elect Omnitude Foundation board members, and the Omnitude Foundation will announce their agenda. Now, the Omnitude Foundation is a not-for-profit organisation that basically is going to be in charge of the token distribution. From a technical standpoint, they will announce their technology partners in Q2 2018, start work on phase 1 and 2 of the project, load testing on the Hyperledger nodes, create the creation of integration code and creation of live production nodes as well. Moving forward into Q3 2018, they will complete phase 1 development. They will start testing, industrialized technology stack, and engage with regulators if required, and they will develop operating models and governance. They haven't announced any business plan yet for that period, nor have they announced a business plan for Q4 2018, but from a technical standpoint, they want to complete the testing, launch phase 1, and begin the full-time development on phase 2. So moving into 2019 and beyond, they are going to take Omnitude into full production, expand the MVE by creating and joining consortium, plug into external developer ecosystems to nurture standardization, and launch phase 2 as the projects become ready. And again, from a business perspective, they haven't got any plans written in stone at the moment. So quite a concise and detailed roadmap leading into 2019. So at Q1 2019, first half of 2019, they should be all up and running. So let's quickly look at the team. Now, they've added the LinkedIn pages to the website, as you can see here. Chris Painter and Vladimir and Robert are the co-founders. In fact, Chris and Robert are the founders, and Vladimir is listed as a co-founder as well. We'll take a look at their LinkedIn profiles in a second. We also have some interesting guys here. We have Benjamin Van Avery, he's a blockchain consultant. James Worthington, Hyperledger consultant, which will be very important if you're using Hyperledger. Need somebody that understands it, lock, stock, and barrel. Ben Bennett, Operations Director, and then we move down to the other guys on the team. John Harris, Brand Director. Leanne's a Marketing Director. Belinda, Strategy and Partnerships. Ben Roy is the Blockchain Dev. Greg Painter, Community Manager. Andrew Starmer, the Project Manager. And they have an advisory body. There's Sally Eves there. She's involved heavily in blockchain governance and education as well. Michael Donald, I don't know who he is. He's an advisor. Let's just take a quick look. I see. So he's been involved in Bank of America in the UK, launched Apple Pay with Amex, Visa and MasterCard, Samsung Pay and Android Pay. So yeah, very interesting there. Let's have a look at see what Nathan does as well. Nathan is a fintech guy, I believe. Yep, he is a serial entrepreneur with over 40 startups in his portfolio. ICO, strategy, development, etc., etc. Number 30 out of 1,000 of people of blockchain. Very interesting. Yeah, we'll click on Sally as well. We don't want to marginalize the females on the team. So Sally, if you don't know, I've reviewed her in some other ICOs. She is practicing professor of fintech and the founder and global strategic advisor as well, specializing in the application of disruptive technologies for both business and societal benefit. And so she's involved in all of these new technologies as a chief technology officer. And she's also part of the Forbes Technology Council as well. So yeah, having her on the team will do no harm whatsoever. Simon Cocking, you might have heard of him. He's on numerous ICOs. And he was ranked at number 1 out of 1,000 for people of blockchain. Okay, well, that's pretty impressive. And he's a successful business mentor and advisor. And he's worked with over 25 ICOs to date. He's keeps popping up. And Anthony, is another advisor, and he is a retail advisor. So he has over 10 years e-commerce and digital experience running .com businesses. And he's also an author. There you go. He's written a handbook, the Retail Handbook, Master Omnichannel Best Practice to Attract, Engage, and Retain Customers in Digital Age. So you can grab that off Amazon if you're interested to read it. So very good indeed. We have Tiago, cybersecurity advisor, and Sahil, I think. Let's see what Sahil does. Oh. He's got experience in strategic management, brand creation, sales and business development. Aha, so there's a few angles covered here. And of course the blockchain mob, which I will highlight in the next section. They are a one-stop shop for launching your ICOs, if you're wondering. So there we go, there's the team. Any questions over implementation? I don't think so at all. Let's take a closer look at Chris and the other founders. So there we are. Chris is the founder and CEO at Omnitude. He's also managing director at Pixel and Pixel. I'll show you them in a second. He's based in Brighton in the UK. He's been involved in Omnitude for, well, since June 2017, since he started, about 10 months, but a lot longer in Pixel by Pixel as well. So let's take a look at his colleagues. Robert is his other founder here, and he has been an advisor for Daddy, which is an ICO you may have heard of, and he's the CEO at Wirehive as well. Now, I don't know anything about Wirehive, really should, so that is remiss of me. Let's have a look. So they are a digital agencies, hosting department, crafting digital experiences, providing agencies and their clients with bespoke hosting services. Right, so they're involved in e-commerce websites, etc., etc. So it all sort of fits in. They've all got a lot of experience in e-commerce, and that's good to see. One of the things I always want to look at in teams is experience in the relevant field that they're trying to penetrate, because without that you're going in completely blind. James Worthington, he is another interesting man on the team. The reason I brought him to your attention is he is a co-founder and CEO of a full-service Hyperledger solution provider called Beltrain LLC, based in the US, based near Atlanta. He doesn't mention Omnitude on his profile though, but he is involved with them. And another co-founder, Vladimir, he is the co-founder at CSCAR and also Omnitude. CSCAR, obviously e-commerce again, so yeah, so they've all got the relevant skill sets that they need to penetrate into this market. So partner-wise, there's no partners really listed on the website, but they do hint to some partnerships. They say they are born out of an existing enterprise e-commerce agency and spent the best part of the last 10 years putting up with one of the major problems, which is integrations. And they've spent most of their time integrating and reintegrating systems, so they know this sector inside out. And they say they've got a pool of staff who do so as well. And indeed, they already have existing customers, so that is quite interesting. So the company they were referring to is Pixel by Pixel. Now, they're based in Sussex in England, and they are a design, development, e-commerce and digital marketing company as well. And nice website. Scroll down, let's just have a little look at it. And they work with some of the biggest brands in the world to craft memorable digital experiences. There you go. So very, very nice website indeed. And focus on e-commerce as well. We live, breathe and love e-commerce, and obviously natural progression going on to running their own ICO and implementing blockchain technology. So they've already got an existing business, which is a good point, and they've also got existing revenue, another good point. Another interesting article I found on their blog was that they are now partnered with Swisscom Blockchain AG for technological advice and providers as well. So that will go some way in allowing them to implement. They're going to be helping Omnitude with design sessions, business cases, use case development, strategy, as well as the development of the ecosystem itself. So the final partner that I could find any info about is this blockchain mob. Now, they are pretty much a turnkey ICO solution company. They just launch the ICO for you. They handle all the token sales and everything, smart contracts, blah, blah, blah. They have this very easy to use interface dashboard, if you like, called Token Get. Some of you will be familiar with it. It's been used by other projects, and they can accept different payment methods, as you can see here, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, etc., depending on what your project requirements are. I think in the case of Omnitude, they're only accepting Bitcoin and Ether. They could also do your KYC checks for you. Again, they've got the very intuitive dashboard you'll see if you register for any of their projects in the future, and they can manage all the bounty programs for you, airdrops, marketing and affiliates, a one-stop shop if you like for ICO launches. So yeah, an interesting company, and it will take a lot of the pressure away from the Omnitude team itself, because you don't want to be spending too much time messing around with parts of the ICO sale when you can be concentrating on actually getting a deliverable product together. So community support for this project seems to be very, very good indeed, bordering on excellent, and they have 11.7k followers on their Twitter. That's pretty good for a project like this, and the hype seems to be growing behind this project. As I said, one of the reasons I chose this to review was because I got asked several times by members of my community, my viewers, to do this, and obviously I try to do projects that I'm not only interested in, but ones that you want me to do as well. I like bringing new projects to you, but if you want stuff to be done by me, I will reciprocate. So this was no exception. Lots of you wanted me to review this and find out what it's all about. So let's see, on the Twitter audit, they are actually 97% good. Don't have many fake followers there at all, so that's a very, very good sign indeed. And they're also very well represented on their Telegram group with 18,220 members. So a lot of hype behind this ICO. I can see this one selling out very quickly indeed. Okay, verdict time now, and let's start off as usual with the positives that I see in this ICO. So first of all, the presentation and branding is very good. All the material is presented in a very nice manner. It's all branded well. I like the choice of colors. There's a lot of thought being put into it, and that comes across in the material. Number two, I think this is to the project's advantage. It has a fairly low total supply of 100 million and a fairly low circulatory supply of around 55 million there or thereabouts. When it will go on the exchanges, we should see an estimated market cap of around $27 million maybe, around that, and that's pretty good. It's got a lot of room for growth here. Number three, existing business and revenue. So they've already got this pixel to pixel, which the CEO is running, Christopher is running, and they've already got existing revenue coming in. So they've done this before. They know what they want to do. They know what they need to bootstrap the blockchain business, and that's why they're having the ICO. Number four, very important. As with every project I review, I always look at the team. Do they have experience in the sector that they're trying to disrupt? This team certainly does. They're all involved in e-commerce in some way or another. They've built their own shopping cart. They've formed companies. They're running companies that produce software for e-commerce solutions. So they are really deep into the e-commerce sector, and I like to see that. Number five, this is middleware, guys. So this is acting as a as a sort of middle crossover to put customers in touch with merchants, merchants in touch with enterprise solutions. It's a blockchain solution that will mean that it's adaptable for all of these different types of users. And being middleware means the adaptability is a lot higher than if they were just a standalone eBay on the blockchain, or and it also gives the advantage over their competitors that are in the space as well. The fact that they are middleware means existing solutions will be able to use them too, which will expand their business and allow them to be more user-friendly as well. Number six, it's an innovative and unique concept, innovative and unique project. It's a possible first mover, and it will have that advantage. I did mention a couple of competitors in the competition section, but they're not really offering what this project is offering, and this has got a first mover advantage, I feel. Number seven, as a consumer, the Omnitude ID will be convenient and secure, and a lot better than what the current situation. So it's going to be disruptive in terms of providing this identification that merchants will be able to utilize and consumers can utilize whenever they go onto different websites. You won't need to type in your information. It'll all be there. Just use the ID and you'll get rewarded for doing so as well, which is another bonus. Number 8, I like this part of it. You can run nodes for staking rewards. Now, there's a lot of guys that are involved in master nodes and staking, and a lot of people that rely on that for a little bit of income coming in. So that's got to be a definite advantage for this project. Node details, exactly how they're going to work, will be coming in due course. 9. The hype is behind this project now. A lot of people in their community talking about it. The pre-sale sold out. So yeah, hype is definitely here, folks. Number 10, another good advantage for this project is it's open to everybody. It's open to US residents. And a lot of US residents want to participate in ICOs but are prohibited from doing so. So the fact that they're allowing US residents to participate is definitely a positive. Number 11, again, I mentioned it before, they sold out a successful pre-sale. Gives you a yardstick of how popular this project is going to be and how hyped it is. They already sold out at pre-sale quite quickly. So, there's no question in my mind, I think this project will sell out at main sale as well. Number 12, it is a disruptive project. It solves real issues within the e-commerce. And, we discussed before about fraud being one of the main ones, the cost of doing business another, and it solves a lot of these problems. It certainly can solve a lot of these problems. Number 13, I think this is an advantage. I'm going to put it down as a positive. The fact that they're using the Hyperledger fabric rather than Ethereum, for example, or Neo, more common main chains, gives this project a bit of an advantage because it gives it the permission blockchain. It gives it a little bit more scope than can be implemented using Ethereum, for example. So I think they've picked wisely here by picking Hyperledger for their project, and I think that gives them the technological advantage over their rivals. So, some negatives as per usual. There are all negatives there are some negatives in every project, sorry. So this doesn't have a minimum viable product yet, and that annoys me because I like to see that. However, they have said that there will be code available and there will be MVP available before the main sale. Now, we're getting quite close to the main sale already, 28th of March. So they're only a few weeks away. So if they can deliver an MVP by then, you're definitely going to have to take this project a lot more seriously than you already do. Number 2, details about nodes are not clear yet. They haven't really released any information about the rewards, the system, what are going to be the requirements. I've seen some reviews that have been saying that the team's going to be running their own nodes to begin with to take some of the sting out of the cost for merchants. I've also read that the merchants and customers will have to run full or partial nodes. The details are not quite clear yet, so let's hope we get those clarified. And also, it's somewhat centralized. Being a permission network, it's not totally decentralized, so I think that's a disadvantage for this project. However, I can understand why they've chosen to use Hyperledger. It's just that it's not completely decentralized. There is a centralized system. It is a centralized permission blockchain, and Omnitude will be issuing all the IDs, so they will have a control over who uses the network, and that's again having Big Brother up there is not ideal. We're looking at a completely decentralized future, and booting people off the network or deciding who gets to use the network, as we've seen, isn't really conducive to decentralization. So not many negatives with it. So what are the potential gains that I see in this ICO? Well, let's have a look. If it's an ultra bearish market, I can see this just stagnating. It's a fairly high token price to begin with at 40 cents. If it was a bit lower, even in an ultra bearish market, I could see people dipping into this. But if it hits in an ultra bearish market, I think we're looking at it staying where it's going to be. Bearish market, well, it's still got potential here because of the low total supply and the low circulatory supply. It could even do something in a bearish market, I feel. So I'm going to mark it down for a 2x in a bearish market. Bullish market, however, things start to get more optimistic and a little bit better. I can see this doing a 5x. I don't think $2 is beyond the ability of this project in a bullish market. And in a perma-bullish market where things are just going up for a consistent amount of time and a long time, I think we could see a 15x here, really, if the other factors obviously have to be taken into account here, like implementation, the team releasing news, partnerships, notifications about the nodes, and that, those are all factors that are going to play into this gaining in value. So your investment is going to gain in value depending how many of these factors come into play. But in a very bullish market, I can see this doing a 15x, and that's only going to give a market cap of around $405 million, which in a very bullish market, if we're seeing a real positive sentiment, it's not unachievable at all. Not unachievable at all. And over the long term, I'd expect this project, if it's implemented and it picks up the users that I believe it deserves, I think we could see it easily achieve that. So what are my views on flipping and hodling? Well, flipping, maybe 2x for flipping, I think here. If it goes on the market at the right time, I think an easy 2x. If you want to make some money here, it's very possible. But hodling, yeah, for sure. This project will go on and probably become, quite a well-known project in e-commerce, I think. I'm hoping. So I think, yeah, if you get into this project, holding on is probably also a good idea. So what's my final verdict on this Omnitude project? Well, I like it. I think it's got definite potential. I just wish that things were a little bit more clarified. I wish they had an MVP there. It's something that I really, really, have to mark down for this project. So I can only give it 4 out of 5 stars. It's innovative, the branding's good, the hype is behind it, and one of the biggest driving things at the moment behind these projects is hype. It doesn't matter whether they've got, a code coming out their arse. If it's hyped, it usually does well, and this has definitely got the hype. Yeah, so will I be investing in it? Yes, I think I will. I'll try to get some money together. All my assets are tied up. I don't have much spare Ethereum at the moment, but I'll definitely be looking at it as a potential investment. It might be a gas war, guys. I have to warn you, I don't know how the crowd sale is going to go. It's going to sell out, I can tell you that. But it might be a gas war. It might be there'll be some disappointed participants there that couldn't get in. And I'm hoping I'm not going to be one of them, but you never know. So thanks for watching, and thanks to all of you that requested this review, because that's why I ended up doing it. And if you've got any more requests, please post in the comments below. I'm sorry if I can't get round to reviewing what you request. I do as many as I can, guys. I'm on about one every couple of days at the moment, and I'm also a brand ambassador for Block Square, as you probably know, so please watch my Block Square review videos. There'll be a full review coming up eventually, and I'm trying to introduce the project step by step, and also make it familiar with you guys before I do the review as well. As part of my role as an ambassador, we'll be doing AMAs with the team in due course, and some other interesting things. I might pop around to blockchain meetups and ask people if they've heard about the project, that type of thing. Try to do something a little bit different than me just sitting in my underwear here doing reviews. So that's me for today. All it leaves me to do is say the usual disclaimer. If you are going to invest in ICOs, please bear in mind they pose inherent risk. I'm not a financial advisor. This is purely for entertainment purposes. You shouldn't be listening to those idiots on YouTube telling you what to invest in. It's not about that for me. I'm just doing it for entertainment. And if it helps you make a decision on what you're going to invest in, then that's fair and well, that's fine and well. If I've brought some new information to your attention, that's also good. And if you're going to invest in projects, guys, please do your own due diligence, please do your own research, and always invest what you can afford to lose. Do your research, and invest wisely, invest cautiously, guys. Don't just jump in, don't FOMO into any projects. You know, that's the best way to do it. And you know, these projects, a lot of these projects you might be able to flip them, but they're mostly for the long term. I'm a long-term hodler. If I invest in something, I like to believe in it for a longer period of time. And I think this one's got a little bit of potential, guys. So good luck, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.